Welcome to Spirits and Souls. I am your metaphysical and spiritual teacher, Queen Mother, and welcome to my sacred little space. I'm so glad you guys are back to join us, and for all of my newcomers, I'm so glad you are here. This channel is designated to teach you what spirituality is and how to become the best you that you desire to become. If you want to keep up with all of the juicy juice that I drop for you every Tuesdays and Thursdays, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the post bell notification so that way you can stay up to date whenever I drop any tools for you to use. Now, in today's video, we are introducing African spirituality, what it is. And in future videos, I'm going to break down the forms of African spirituality and how you can get started in each and every one of them. What is African spirituality? Well, African spirituality, as we know, there are many countries in Africa, there are many people, and there are many forms of religion aside from Catholicism that they practice. The African people, and we're going to specifically speak on the Yoruba people, because the Yoruba people is who created and pretty much constructed the religions in which African Americans now today and other people of color tend to gravitate with. So they're broken into subsections, but the Yoruba religion is the basis for many of the religions that are now in place in the New World. So some of those religions are Santeria, Trinidadian Orishas, Hoodoo, Voodoo, you have Ifa, you also have Umbanda, and I'm going to probably say this incorrectly, so Kamdabale, I'm not sure, and there's other more that extensions of them, but we're going to cover these a little bit more into another video. The Yoruba people, when they were taken in captivity for slavery, they were taught and threatened and out of their faith. But they did an amazing job with their religion hidden within the forms of Catholicism and Protestantism. I'm probably saying that wrong. The religion was that was forced upon them. The Yoruba people accepted the religion, but they still carried on their faith within the Christian religion as best as they possibly could, which is why those little small segments that I named earlier, such as Ifa, Voodoo, Hoodoo, Trinidadian Orishas, the Santeria, the hymns from the Yoruba people, and because they were all spread out around the world, they all had to adapt different forms of it, and then they learned how to intertwine their tradition and culture within it. Okay, a lot of people like to use African witchcraft or African spirituality as a form of black witchcraft, but it's not black witchcraft. Yoruba is truly a religion. Yoruba people focus on three components within their religion. They focus on the God, the creator, the ultimate creator, Odumar, the Orishas, the spirits, as well as the ancestors. So within their religion, they also are able to do a lot of divination, as well as, which is usually used through reading of cow shells, singing, drumming, ceremonies, and things like that, and spirit possessions. Now because we don't have a true, in fact, like connection to our Yoruba people to know specifically how the religions and ceremonies were initially, things have changed even within the African culture. Things are not the same, so a lot of Catholicism is incorporated into the religions. So once the slaves were captured and they were spread out all over the place, a lot of them still held on to their Orishas, as well as the stories that they could of the Orishas, and then honoring their ancestors. The ancestors work perfectly because that is your first person you will go to. We usually go to our ancestors. Those are the closest connections that we have to the divine, to the spirit world, is through our ancestors. Our ancestors are known to protect us and speak and allow us access to the higher spirits. The higher spirits, the Orishas, which we'll do another video of the Orishas, who the Orishas are, and I'll give more breakdowns on each of the Orishas as we go. The Orishas are the nature spirits. Odumar is considered the ultimate creator. I want to break it down in Christianity form so you can probably understand it a little bit better. So you have God, and then you have the angels, and then you have humans. Well, within the Yoruba community, they have the same thing, which is Odumar, the natural creator, the Orishas, are angels, and then the ancestors, which are the components that we acknowledge as humans. So Christianity took a lot from the Yoruba people. The Yoruba is one of the oldest religions known to mankind, and Christianity took a lot of their stuff from us. And if you are like me, then you aren't new to this system. We're very old to this, right? So when you're looking at African spirituality, the smaller components, such as once the slaves got settled in here in the United States, we got the Haitian voodoo. In Haiti, you got the Trinidadian Orishas. You have the Santerias from Cuba and Puerto Rico. You have in America, we have the Ifa communities. We have hoodoo and voodoo. The New Orleans hoodoo, and then you have the New Orleans voodoo, and then you have voodoo. So voodoo, Haitian voodoo, and then you have New Orleans hoodoo. Okay, so each of these African spiritualities, forms of African spiritualities, little segments of it, I'll compare it to Christianity once again. Overall, you have Christianity, and from there you have Catholicism, Protestants, non-denominational, you have Baptists, Methodists, CME, all this stuff. So there's different levels to it, but they all practice and honor the same forms of African spirituality. So within African spirituality, I'll do a story that tells you further about the creator, Odumare, and once we get into like the Orishas, I'll tell you more about it. So we have been taught over time that African spirituality is evil, it is wrong, and we have been taught to be so fearful of the very thing that is within our blood. It's time for that to end. As I have embraced my journey along African spirituality, I have truly understood a lot of the similarities, which I've been able to do consistently throughout the videos, to Christianity as well as to African spirituality. I have one of my sisters, she's also starting her journey into it as well, and I recently told her I was telling her how to do one of the what was I doing? I gave her a candle to teach her how to do one of her rituals, and I was telling her, I was like, you have to do one of the prayers. She was like, well, I need to get a prayer, but I don't know what prayers to say. And I said, honestly, pick up your Bible. I know you have one in your house. That's where the prayers come from. And she said in disgust, she was like, ew, I don't want that. I don't want any part of Christianity within my faith. And unfortunately, I had to tell her, because our people were taught in fear, and because our people were had to mask who they are, a lot of the things involve Christianity. So when you're practicing, when you begin to look at the religion part of it, you begin to practice the individual practices within the religion, like cleansings and using candles and herbs and things like that, you begin to understand that you'll lose a lot of the Christianity in it. Within it. So you use the Bible a lot of the Psalms you use, because that's what the slaves were able to use. Our ancestors, they used those Psalms and incorporated God. It is very confusing, and I can honestly say that, because when you're doing conjure and you're working, you're like, okay, so if I'm working in voodoo, or the voodoo is the religion part of it, voodoo is considered the practice part of it. If I'm doing voodoo, or I'm doing hoodoo, or I'm doing anything like this, and I'm doing any kind of work, I'm supposed to call on God, the creator of the Christian Bible, to help me do this. And what if I don't believe in that, and I really am believing in Odumare, and I'm believing in my Orishas? You have to then take these traditional custom work, forms of work, still honor them, but call upon your spirits and call upon the right names on who you know is supposed to be those people. So our ancestors may not have fully been aware of the people to call upon, but we are here, and I'm teaching you, and you're going to learn from other people out there and other books and things out there to teach you who these people really are. So no longer are we under the guise of God the Creator, you know, or Jesus Christ, or Mary the Virgin. Now we know them by their names, Odumare. Now we know them by Oshun and Shango, and we know Yemaya, we know these orishas and these spirits that we can call, because they're accustomed to helping us in the areas in which we need. So how do you embrace African spirituality in your life? I'm always going to say to start slow. Do some research, start a little slow. Do some research, start slow. Begin to talk to your ancestors. That's going to be the first place in which you go. Learn how to commune with your ancestors, work with your ancestors, speak with them thoroughly, and ask them to show you the paths in which you're supposed to go. As you do research, there are not a lot of physical communities out here, especially if you are in America, where you do have to practice Ifa. Ifa is a form of, like I've already said this 1,000 times, but Ifa is a form of African spirituality. Here in the States, Ifa, I really believe, my younger sister, who is Cuban, said to me once, we met a young lady who opened up her form of her house, of a Ifa house, and she says to her, she says to me, I don't want to go there, she's a fake, she's a phony. And I said, well, you know what, listen, as an African American woman here in America, and we live in the South, and we only have like one place here in South Carolina that is connected to us, that's like the last bit of place that we have that has our history. Embrace it, because even though she got the full version growing up, because her father is Santeria, my stepfather is Santeria, he practices Santeria, and so she was able to be invited in, and she was able to be, you know, get the full yard, the full setup. I could not necessarily, I can't say that because now I'm getting it now. She was able to be initiated in as a child, whereas now I have to go back and be initiated in as an adult by my stepfather as well. But for other people who don't have that connection, for other people who don't know this information, if Ifa is where they need to go, then I am going to embrace Ifa as much as possible, because that's where they can go. So Ifa is not considered a religion. It is really more of a spiritual practice of the African spirituality. Ifa, even though Ifa is a form of spirituality, it goes upon the same practices of the Yoruba people. It's an extension of it. Divination is a big part of that, of all of the segments. You're between voodoo and hoodoo, or Haitian voodoo, or Santeria, or Ifa. It is all focused on being able to divination, working with roots, working to heal yourself, working to heal other people. But divination is a big part of it. We channel a lot of the Orisha's spirits, which are the nature spirits, the spirits that come in to help us. We channel them a lot to help guide their people. You typically, the way the system is set up, you are set up under, there's a hierarchy within the religion, just as it is with every other religion, but it's not a hierarchy to gain control like Christianity. Like the Pope is the ultimate person, you know, like it's not like that. Each Orisha has their children, and their children has a leader, and because like when you're in different segments, you're a part of different little groups that acknowledge this household. I have to say, let's do it in houses. So you're in a household, and a house is going to acknowledge this Orisha, or all of them are in a household or a thing, and each of the people in the household acknowledges a different Orisha, especially when you're looking at Ifa and we're here. A lot of the children of Yemaya and Oshun or Shango are going to come together in one home, and they're going to work together, because that's what we're supposed to do. So and I'm going to do a video on how the Orishas claimed us, but that is for a later time. So each Orisha, we work with underneath that Orisha, and each person is taught, and we have a godparent that you have to report to, or work with, and teach you and guide you along the way. And even they have someone above them. Even within the voodoo community, there's a hierarchy. It's a hierarchy every single where. Like I said, the hierarchy isn't in place to be like a power struggle. The hierarchy is in place to know that everyone has a role in fulfilling the desires and creating and worshiping where we're supposed to be. Everyone has a role. Even when you're looking at a voodoo ceremony, there is the choir, there is the priest, there is the person who is cleaning, there's someone that's getting the sacrifices ready, there is the people that's out there. Everybody has a specific God-given role that they have to take on and do. So I think it is important to embrace African spirituality. Even if you choose to do Christianity, I think it's important to still, especially if you are a person of color and you're from these regions like Haiti or Africa or Puerto Ricans, or from whatever these places are, South America, I really feel like it's important to embrace them, because if you still choose to learn Christianity and still learn your roots, I want you to learn who you are. I want you to learn where you come from. I want you to understand the correlations between the two religions, so that way it makes it as a whole along your spiritual journey. You're learning the difference between what one religion is, what the other religion is, and how they actually correlate. So I got a list here of which religions, which faiths practice which part of Christianity. I'm going to use my notes this time, y'all. So we have readings backwards. Okay, so let me start again. So Brazil is the Yoruba faith and Catholicism, and they usually have Santeria and the Camboli. The Colombians have the Yoruba faith and Catholicism. The Cuba is Santeria, and they have Yoruba faith and Catholicism. Haiti is Voodoo, Voodoo, and they have the Yoruba faith and Catholicism. Trinidad is Shango and Obaye. They have the Yoruba faith and Catholicism. Jamaica, theirs is called, probably gonna jack this up, the second part. So Rastafarian and Pocomania, I'm probably jack that up, but that consists of the Yoruba faith and oh my god, angelicism. Oh shit, okay. Yoruba faith and angelicism. Barbados is Christianity and Obey. They have the Yoruba faith and angelicism. Crazy. So St. Vincent and St. Lucia is Christianity, and then the US has Christianity and some Yoruba. But this is not completely accurate, because we do know we have the Voodoo as well for the New Orleans people. So to kind of give you a little brief map, I'm going to list the link to this list, because I probably jacked some of that stuff up, so I do apologize about that. But just to kind of show you that it's all intertwined. So you can still learn Christianity, you can still learn African spirituality, but I just really think it's a really good thing to just kind of get back to your roots. And if nothing else, it gives you a higher level of respect for understanding a lot of the teachings that you're learning within Christianity are the same teachings that are within the Yoruba faith. And larger conversation for why are the teachings the same, and if the teachings are the same, and if the messages are the same, you know, I think it's best to then figure, you know, where you fit in that form, like what, you know, what do you still want to honor as a person. There are not, unfortunately, a lot of like churches or places that you can go. A lot of things are kept in secret because of the fear that was instilled in us initially, because of the fear of practicing, the fear of the unknown, or now that we just have so much cultural appropriation, it's just really kept a secret. So a lot of people, you have to be indoctrinated in, you have to be initiated in. It's pretty much just to make sure that you're not, you know, that's just the way of doing it. Once you're initiating in, you can start teaching your children and their children, and they still have to still kind of be like invited in, but it's kind of like, you know, we're already here and you're going to pretty much raise your kids into it. But it's a good way to kind of get that form of connection back with within your family. I wouldn't say to like go and do it and convert everybody over, but I was going to be the biggest component of starting this journey. There's not a lot out there, and you also have to find what is actually real. So I think the best thing is to start with your ancestors, and then start understanding the Orishas and the Yoruba faith and doing some research on those. get out of the mindset of it being evil or demonic or negative or all of this stuff. You have to get out of that mindset if you choose to embrace African spirituality, because we were taught that it's so fearful, but yet we see the same stuff being used by white, Caucasians, whatever you want, Europeans, in the industries. They're using it in their shops. They're using it to market to us. They're using it to create products. They're using it in their ceremonies. They're using it in their churches. They're using all of these things that they taught us for so long were wrong. They're using it. They're using it in their movies, and what you see on TV is not what it really is. Especially even for my daughters, I've been teaching my daughters African spirituality and like voodoo. My oldest daughter likes to come and say like, oh my god, it's so creepy, it's so scary, I'm gonna put voodoo on you. You know, a lot of this stuff is just taught to us incorrectly, and it's used and it's hyped way more than what it actually really is. And when you get to the basics of what it is, you're just like, how, you know, you feel like robbed in a sense. You feel like, oh my god, I can't believe I was taught away from this, or I was so afraid to embrace this. It is nothing more than learning about the Bible, except there is no Bible, because we weren't taught to have a Bible. Like, we weren't allowed to have these things. We weren't allowed to have documentations of what our traditions were, so we had to carry them by word of mouth as best as possible. So some things will be lost, some things you may not understand, some things have changed, some things will not change, some things it may not be there, because unfortunately, as an African part of the community, a lot of stuff was taken from us and hidden from us. So we have to take what little parts. Now, I will tell you this, little parts where we are is in all of the religions. So you have to be able to study them as a whole, and you'll begin to pick apart what's actually yours and what's not yours. So don't be afraid to any other religion, you know, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever, you know, take a look into them. You'll start to see where the lines begin to bleed, because it all leads back to the Yoruba people and the African spirituality, because that's where life was created. That's where we learned a lot of our traditions. Unfortunately, I would hate to say, like, I have a friend in Africa, and you know, just to see like they're a part of that, they're like at the motherland, and just to see that they're being taught Christianity, and they're like, no, we don't do that evil stuff, we don't do that stuff. And it's just kind of like, oh, that's for small villagers, that's not for us. You know, it's just really alarming. It's very, you know, crazy to see like, oh my gosh, you have access to it, and here we are grasping at little straws and memories to try to recreate and get connected to our roots. If you have any other questions, I know this video is pretty much an introduction. Like I said, we are going to be going into further videos, breaking down and introducing who the Orishas are, giving you steps on what you can actually take to how to find a godparent, how to be initiated into what scams you should avoid when looking to be initiated into this, how to get Orisha readings to understand what Orisha you belong to. I saw in another video this young lady asked, well, how can I want to be a child of Oshun, how do I get to be a child of Oshun? And I was like, you know, you don't get to be a child of Oshun, you are, you know, she's already had your life playing. If you are a child of Oshun, trust me, you would know you are a child of Oshun. If you're a child of Yemaya or Shango or, you know, Oya or whoever, you're going to know that they're going to show up in your life. If not, you can ask them and they'll start showing you signs of who you are. They come to you in dreams and visions and divinations and, you know, chants and trance and things like that. And then you can begin to honor your head Orisha. You can still work with other Orishas as well, but you'll honor your head Orisha. There's a lot to this. Even within myself, there's a lot. There's some things I will be able to share, there's some things I won't be able to share, but I want to make sure I create a community that provides you guys with all of the answers that you need on how to get started. Once you get started, your elders, your godparents, the priests and who you work with will direct you further into teaching you what you need to know. But learning, working with your ancestors first is going to be the first key. Okay? All right. And love and light, I can't wait. Thank you all for staying this long with me in this video. I hope to see you in the next video next week. I love you all. Bye.